Welcome to the Art Project. So, we are doing a vacation Bible school at church, and I have been given the mission, not a commission, mind you, but the mission of doing a life-size Goliath. From the story of David and Goliath, and so life size, I believe the Bible says that Goliath was like 9 feet tall. However, a piece of blue insulating foam is only 8 feet tall. So this is a foot shorter than he would be in real life. And so that's okay. The kids are small, and when they see it, they're not really going to know, or probably not, I don't think too much about it. I did have to get up on a chair in order to make this work because I'm not even 8 feet tall, of course. And I laid this out. I began laying this out just like I would a figure drawing in my sketchbook. I'm doing this with white paint, so I know it's like really hard to see what I'm doing, but I've basically just done sort of a wire frame of uh, what he would look like, and then I fleshed it out a little bit. Now I'm going to take some black, and I'm basically outlining the design that I did in white. You can kind of see the white there a little bit. I filled some of it in. Um, but I'm just now I'm kind of going over it and drawing it with a paintbrush and black enamel paint or black latex paint. One of the great things about acrylic paint is if you mess up, you just paint over it. And I messed up so many times. You're going to see this arm right here that I did on the left. It's super gimpy right now. And so in a few minutes, you'll see me add to it and change the shape of it a little bit. I just wiped some out with my thumb right there. This arm right here is gigantic, especially compared to the little gimp arm on the other side of him. And so, like I said, that's just one of the great things about acrylic paint is there's room to mess up and fix it. Right there, I did 3 lines for his I don't know what you call that sling around his arm, around his shoulder that holds his sword. I didn't put the sword in until way later, but you'll see. You see, I put in 3 lines. One of those lines is wrong, and I will paint out, whatever the mistake was. That's, like I said, one of the great things about acrylic paint. So I have to tell you, uh, I have, I guess, high anxiety about drawing and painting. It's um, I don't say this very often. I don't guess in my videos. And if you just watch the video, you might think, hey, this guy just he draws and this is what he enjoys doing and he's good at it or whatever. But the truth is that almost every single time I start a painting, before I do it, I feel like I'm already going to fail. It's already like built into my system, and I'm not the best. I'm not as talented as Da Vinci or Michelangelo or some of the other great artists that are out there right now, alive and kicking. But I'm not bad, I don't guess. And so I enjoy doing it, but I still have anxiety almost every time I do one of these, especially if it's a figure. I mean, it's hard to do figures and not make them look out of proportion. And you probably, if you look at this close enough, you might notice that some of it is out of proportion. That's okay. I just kind of keep on going. I have to break through that wall of frustration, that wall of anxiety, and do what I've been asked to do. And to do what I really love doing. In the end, I'm really pleased with how the Goliath turned out. It was, kind of a lot of fun. Once I got through and got past that anxiety. And usually that anxiety is just the starting part. It's just like getting started, looking at that blank canvas, which is really intimidating, and there not being anything on it, and knowing that you might mess up or you might fail. I just, once I get past that and I make the first marks on the canvas, then boom, ready to go. Everything's great. And so I just, like I said, had to dive right in. At some point, I knew that I had to get it done, and I got started. It took me probably took me 8 or 9 hours, I would think, total to do this painting. And I didn't go through and resolve every last detail and make it perfect. So it would have really taken me a lot longer if I had tried to perfect the whole image like some of the great masters do. But I took about 9 hours to do it. I got about 2.5 hours worth of footage, so there's a lot of stuff left out. And I worked on it over probably a 3-day period. The first day I worked on it pretty solid and all day. And then I think the next day I came back and worked on it some more. And then we had some other duties we had to do, some other set design stuff for VBS. And so I went and worked on that. And then they thought my Goliath was done, and so they moved it to another room. And I had to go to the new room and work on it. You'll see that in a few minutes too. What else can I say about this? I'm using uh, like latex paint, like you would use to paint a house. And I'm using just what we had bought for the other parts of the set. There was some brown, some yellow, some white, some black, and some blue. And I really did almost everything in brown and yellow and white. Eventually I added a little bit of black. Eventually I added a little bit of blue. But it's all in latex house paint. It's all on a sheet of insulation foam. I don't know if you noticed at the beginning, but there's a clear plastic film on both sides of the board, and I just removed it from the side that I was going to paint on. I think it's actually gone from both sides, but I removed it from the side that I was painting on for sure. You don't really want to paint on that film, and the foam is not very absorbent, and so the paint just basically rests on the surface of it. And on the more humid days, it took a long time for it to dry. So a lot of the work that I did, I had to kind of jump around and let parts dry while I worked on other parts. And one thing that might be noticeable at the end is the mistakes that I made that I wanted to paint out with white paint. I didn't get to put as many coats of white paint to paint them out as I wanted to, because it just was taking forever for that paint to dry. Another thing that made this a little easier was I'm actually going from a photograph, actually another painting, another artist's painting that I got off the internet. This is not really original material, and so I don't know who the other artist is, and I hope I'm not suffering for any copyright infringement. I was doing this completely volunteer, and I didn't want to spend a lot of time coming up with my own pose and my own painting and project, because this is going to be used for a week and then probably tossed in the dumpster, maybe set aside for another thing later on. But I got no money off of this whatsoever. It is not my original design. I just put it on the board and painted it in. A lot of times that's what an artist's job is, I think. It's just I mean, there's a lot of artists out there that are doing things for for profit, and they're painting and they're selling it to the company, or they're selling it to a buyer or something like that. But a lot of what I do, and I found I've seen a lot of artists doing this, is they're just painting, to help somebody out. You need this prop for VBS. All right, I can do that. That's within my skill set. Let me help you out. And so I didn't want to spend a lot of time recreating the wheel. There was an artist out there who had already done great work, and this is really his composition. Doesn't look exactly like it. I just kind of copied off of it a little bit close. The face was really fun. I don't know if you saw what it looked like at the beginning, but as I'm painting the face right here, I'm tweaking it, painting some stuff in, painting some stuff out. It's really rough, but you know, like I said, kids look at it and they're like, wow, it's Goliath. So it doesn't have to be perfect. I did think it looked a little bit like Charleston Heston when I was done. And as long as I'm talking your ear off, I'll just mention that the rest of the VBS set was pretty amazing. It was 16 feet tall and I think like 25 feet wide, somewhere in there. It was the ocean and sky with a volcano in front of it and a pirate ship turned into a um, business front in front of that. I don't think I'll have any pictures on here of it, but it was really cool. Mystery Island was the theme for VBS, and we just did this humongous set for it. A lot of sets out there from churches that have a little bit more money to work with than we did a great job, but I was pretty proud of how ours turned out. And anyway, the fingers on this were awful. They were too elongated or whatever, but when I go back and I use the white paint to do the background and paint out some mistakes, you'll see it looks a whole lot better. Then I put the spear in. The spear was kind of cool, just like a big strip of brown paint, a little yellow added to one side, and a pointy part at the end. Just used a 2x4. So the spear is 1.5 inches thick. Then I wanted to paint in a sword for him. By the way, all of this squatting down and standing up and getting on a chair and getting back off the chair and all of that just about ruined my right knee. The ligaments, tendons in the back of my leg are so tight from all of this climbing up and down in the chair. Put in a little sheen for his armor. And by the way, his armor just to me looks really kind of silly at the beginning, and then once I put the plate mail scales on it, it actually turns out looking pretty neat. All right, I think we are going to move over to another building here in a few minutes, and when we do, I will use a Sharpie marker to put in all of the details, or some of the finer details. Yep, got to put a little shine on one side of the spear. Put some sheen on his leather skirt. I don't know what the name of that thing is. And so here I am over in the other building, and my main objective here is to paint out the background where I had made some mistakes. Paint it white. I painted over it with white paint. You can see right here in the crook of his arm, I painted over it, and you can't really see it very well from there, but as I'm trying to keep it from dripping, you see some of the black paint revealed. I also wanted to paint out a little bit of his skirt. His skirt was a little bit too long in the back. Added some sheen to the, or some reflected light reflection to his sword. Paint out some of his fingers up here so that they didn't look so crazy. Painted out some of his helmet so it didn't look like he had a big old cone head. Paint out some of the mistakes around his skirt and spear, and you can see the mistakes between his legs right there. The skirt was a little bit too. There it goes, and I covered it up again. But after the paint dried, it still showed through some more. Paint out some more of his fingers. Put another coat on it. All right, here comes the scale mail. Basically just like fish scales that I did with a Sharpie, and for some reason, to me, this just made all the difference in the world for the armor itself. Put some details on his sling and the buttons and around the leather of his skirt. Get rid of some of that white that was showing through. Paint some of that out again. This is just, this is the job, painting stuff in and painting stuff out, getting rid of mistakes and making mistakes and getting rid of them and so on. Anyway, that is it. Done with this little commission. It was a lot of fun. Hope you liked it. Stay tuned for more videos. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, please. If you're new here, please subscribe and support me. Check out the description below in case there's anything extra in there. And like I said, it's your turn. Go make some art. There it is. Now, goodbye. Thanks for watching. That's it. You can skip now. Oh no, click on one of the other videos. That'd be a good idea. Click on one of the other videos. And then go make some art.